They booed him loud enough that you could hear it on the national feed. Fire Tomlin echoing through Acrisure Stadium like a reminder that in pro sports, fan patience has an expiration date. Mike Tomlin walked into the room on Tuesday and didn't try to soothe the crowd or feign surprise. He said plainly, "In general, I agree with them." And then he explained why that's not the same as handing in a resignation letter. Think about that for a second. A coach who's been the Steelers' steady pulse for nearly 2 decades, who has never had a losing season, standing there and telling people he understands their anger. That moment is the heartbeat of the story. It's not just about a loss to Buffalo, it's about expectations and identity. Pittsburgh isn't just a team, it's a ritual for a city that measures its Saturdays and Sundays by a black and gold rhythm. When that rhythm goes off, it's not just a bad game, it's a cultural annoyance that needs a response. Tomlin's response wasn't defensive theater. He acknowledged the reality. Football is entertainment, and fans pay to be entertained by winners. He didn't dodge. He said he respects the fans' frustration, shares it, and sees it through the clear lens of the business they're in. But then he layered on the other side, process, belief, and the practical work of fixing what's broken without making theatrical moves for optics. Here's the real tension. On one hand, Tomlin's resume buys him a lot of grace. He's built a culture that's produced playoff runs and sustained toughness, and he's consistently delivered non-losing seasons in a league that chews up coaches like a Sunday meat grinder. On the other hand, the NFL is cruelly results-oriented. It doesn't care about past accomplishments when your team is sputtering and fans are paying $200 a ticket to witness unraveling football. That's the heat Tomlin felt, earned praise versus present pain. So what is Tomlin actually saying when he agrees with the fans in spirit but stands by his process? He's drawing a line between emotion and evaluation. He wants ownership of accountability without the impulsive theatrics of a mid-season firing that might do more harm than good. His message, if we want change that matters, it has to be surgical, not sensational. Evaluate the tape. Fix the details. Make the right tweaks. Don't write a headline you'll regret. Let's zoom in on what's actually wrong. This team is messy on both sides of the ball. Offense ranked near the bottom, defense not far behind. Aaron Rodgers played injured, handling a broken left wrist and a busted nose. And that's a complicated human picture. Do you praise a warrior for gutting through pain? Or do you question whether a less than 100% quarterback makes the situation worse? Then there's the reality of schematic fit, play calling that looked stale in bursts, and inconsistent execution that turned manageable situations into momentum losses. Those are the meat and potatoes problems that won't be fixed with a viral firing chant. Tomlin's comparison to a journalist writing a bad article, does it lessen your confidence in your ability, is telling. He's arguing for a mindset where competent professionals own mistakes and iterate. That's a reasonable position when you have a long track record of competence. But it's also a fragile argument when fans measure success by wins, not by process narratives. The difference between the two perspectives is the time horizon. Fans see a season's arc, while a veteran coach sees a multi-year program. Both are valid. Both can be true at once. Now let's talk about credibility and consequence. Tomlin says he doesn't anticipate sweeping staff changes, but he will evaluate. That's the tricky middle ground. It communicates steadiness, but also signals potential course corrections. For an organization, there's a spectrum of actions that don't require firing the head coach. Personnel tweaks, schematic adjustments, shifting responsibilities within the staff, and altering practice cadence. Sometimes a microchange, a different play caller approach on third downs, a roster tweak that buys the offensive line a few more clean reps can be more impactful than a headline-grabbing firing. Tomlin is essentially saying we can act surgically or we can react theatrically. He's betting on the former. There's another layer that often gets lost in the noise: trust. A coaching staff can't operate effectively if players believe anyone can be shown the door at the first sign of trouble. That's not stubbornness, it's stability. But conversely, players need to feel the urgency in the building. If the message coming from the head coach is complacent, the dressing room will mirror it. Tomlin's job then is balancing those two, transmitting urgency without generating panic. Saying, "I agree with the fans," amplifies the urgency. Saying we will roll our sleeves up is meant to stabilize the locker room. The trick is doing both in a way that actually produces results. So, what should fans reasonably expect? First, accountability. The coaches will analyze the tape and make corrections. Second, clarity. Players need clear standards on execution and effort, and Tomlin has to make sure those are enforced publicly and privately. Third, urgency. Incremental fixes matter, but so does an intensified focus on the fundamentals: third down execution, protecting the quarterback, and cleaning special teams. If the Steelers do these things, the record can correct itself. If they don't, the fire Tomlins. Chant will evolve into a persistent storyline that could demand organizational changes. Now, for the uncomfortable truth, sometimes stability is the right call, and sometimes it's code for inertia. The only way to know which one is happening is to watch the results in the immediate weeks that follow. The NFL calendar is relentless, and season narratives harden quickly. If the Steelers respond with sharper play, better situational football, and a couple of convincing wins, Tomlin's steadiness will look wise. If the losses pile up, the same steadiness will look like an excuse. At its core, this is a story about leadership in a pressure cooker. Tomlin's approach: accept the criticism, own the pain, but insist on process, is a play from the Veteran's Handbook. It's a high-risk, high-reward posture. The reward is that the locker room stays focused and the organization corrects itself. The risk is that fans demand immediate theater and ownership caves to public pressure, or worse, that the coach's faith in his process is mistaken. So here's the tight read. Tomlin understands the fans. He respects them. He shares their frustration. But he's not promising fireworks. He's promising work. The Steelers' next stretch, starting with that trip to Baltimore, is where the explanation must turn into evidence. Fans can chant all they want, but in the NFL, you get judged in the cold light of Sunday afternoons. Tomlin knows that. He's betting the proof will be found there. If it is, the boos fade and the patience returns. If it isn't, the chants will grow louder, and the conversation will switch from understandable critique to necessary change. Either way, the Steelers are at a fork. One road is a quick, dramatic reset. The other is a harder, more patient rebuild, not measured in tweets, but in tape. Tomlin's answer for now is the second path. It's a bet on craft over claptrap. Whether it's the right call will be written not in press conferences, but in the next few game scores.